Johnson, just what you're seeing.
Johnson? Oh yeah. He's a physical player. When he first got in, he was moving around and running around and doing everything like he'd been here before. So he's one of the guys, one of the freshmen that I really noticed that came in and did everything he had to do. And as we play football games, he come and do some of that things. So Juan Johnson is one of the guys that that is doing a great job.
All right, thanks, Clark.
Thank you.
Hi, I had a quick question. At times this podcast, at times it looks like players, the defensive line in front of you, are lining up at the last second, or maybe not in their spots until the ball is snapped. Why is that the case? Are they looking over to the sideline to get the call from Coach D? What's happening?
It was more of a hurry up offense. We just got to do a great job of trying to line up.
Right.
Line up and get the call, find the ball, get the call, and that's our protege right now. Trying to find the ball, get the call. So that's what we're doing right now.
I see. Thanks.
Jermaine, Mark talks about letting the defense come to you, letting plays come to you, and just being in position to make plays. But when you get 12 tackles in the first half, what is that a function of?
Just me doing my job and doing my assignment. I did it all week. I'm doing it this week, and I'm continuing doing the rest of the season. Got my team out there, just come in and make probably 20 tackles and increase every week.
Were you amazed to see how many tackles you had when you looked?
No, I just knew the way I worked and the way I did, and my effort all week throughout practice that I was gonna come in and do a great job. So I knew this week that I had been saying as I think about the same tackles or even more.
You guys are looking forward to Virginia. I have to ask you, as somebody who was on the field with as good of a view of this as anybody, do quarterback. What was your view of that? Did he get in the end zone?
We kind of passed that, but I'm not really sure. They gave it to him, and it is what it is. But we move forward. We focus on this week. Last week is last week, so we kind of move forward.
Jermaine, what was that moment like though, when you knew what was at stake, and it had been such a tough drive? I mean, there were some guys that hit the field right afterwards. What was that moment like, and did you look up and say, "There's still time"?
That moment, it was one of the best moments of my life. Just seeing that return, and just seeing that we was able to win the game. I was still shocked. I was happy, and I just couldn't believe, that we actually came through with it. Even though I had faith that we could, but just the moment, and I feel like we made history on making that play, and I couldn't stop crying. I was just so emotional because I know how much work we put in and how much I put in it to get to that point. So that's one of the moments that's gonna stick for me the rest of my life.
Take us through that play through your eyes.
I was really on the sideline. I was kind of upset at what was going on, and then we got that return, and I seen all the movement, throwing the ball back and forth. So I was kind of like, okay, they got it. Seen the ball go back across the corner, and I was like, okay, corner, you got it, you can do it. So I seen it take off, and I seen the crackbacks and all the blocks, and I was like, all right, we did it, and I couldn't stop, just jumping up and down and then celebrate my teammates. So it was a great moment.
What about the 9 minutes?
Were you crying before the 9 minutes that they were reviewing it? Or after they said touchdown?
I was kind of crying before, because we obviously was going through a lot with everything. So I was kind of, crying through that part. But then, after we won the game, we got a touchdown that made me. It was more of a joyful cry than angry cry that I was before.
Jermaine, Coach D'Onofrio said that it's like you made up in your mind that you were going to come out and play well. Was it as simple as that, just a mindset change, like saying I'm going to come out and have a big game this week?
That's exactly what it was. I just knew I had to step up. We've been going through a lot with, Artie's mom and Coach Golden's and all the just everything. So I knew that I had to come out and make an effort and talk to myself and let myself know that I'm a leader of this team now. So I got to do what I have to do, and I got to step up and step up to the plate and do what I got to do. So that's what I did. I'm doing it the same this week too.
So that's the process continuing, going into this week, another big ACC game, is continuing that same process?
Yes, sir. I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm working hard. I'm making sure I'm communicating, doing my job, making sure I'm pushing the younger guys and even the older guys. Just making sure we stay together as a team. So that's my protocol right now.
Physically, you've gone through so much, injuries yourself. You're still going out there, still playing. Do you feel healthy right now, and how much did it help to feel healthy, maybe?
I'm feeling very healthy right now. Playing football, you're never going to feel 100% because, you got to play every day. You always going. But, I just do what I have to do, just feeling healthy and then just doing my assignment, I end up with 17 tackles and just doing what I have to do. So, it's a great deal for me, feeling healthy and coming out just balling.
How frustrating is it when you go out there not feeling 100%, but you have to because you know what your position group has gone through this year?
it's something I gotta, I gotta suffer. It's just, if I'm hurting, and I know my team need me, I gotta do what I gotta do at the end of the day. And I don't think it as selfish or, just me being, just me just saying I'm hurting, I don't want to play. I just do what I have to do every down in the face. So that's it.
When
Jermaine,
did you realize
okay,
you had
go ahead.
17 tackles in the game?
What'd you say?
When did it hit you? I mean, did you have any idea you were racking them up while the game was happening?
No, I wasn't really counting. I wasn't really trying to rack them up. It was just the simple fact that the ball came, and I'm just trying to make plays for my team and just help us win. And I worked so hard that whole week, so I knew I had to come out and just take it to the football field, and that's what I did. And then afterwards, I felt like I made a lot of tackles because I was just flying around, but I didn't know I made 17. I told my coach early that I was trying to do 15, and I ended up getting 17, and so. I told him, and I didn't expect myself to be 17, but I was proud of myself.
Last week we heard Coach Scott say again and again he wants you guys to feel like you're at recess, like you're having fun.
Yeah.
And with that comes a freedom that can sometimes mean some penalties because you're flying around a little more. Did he give you a little bit of wiggle room and actually say, don't worry so much about the penalties, just go out there and play free?
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to just, it's just like grade school football, just playing little league and everything, just go out there and have fun, Don't too much worry about the penalty, but play smart, You still got to play smart while having fun, You can't go out there and just have fun and just do what you want to do. Because it is consequences to having fun. So, we go out there and have fun and make sure we have fun the right way. So
How much a difference did getting sort of a pass on worrying about the penalties make in the play of you and everybody else?
We wasn't, we was just doing our assignment. That was really, having fun. It came upon, after we made a play, then we have fun. It wasn't just having fun the whole time. It was just like you make a play, celebrate your team, and have fun, and get back, on board on, trying to win the game.
Jermaine, do you feel that did you feel a difference in energy today? You guys seem really fired up, and how will this last game carry forward for momentum for Virginia?
It's going to carry on a lot, Like I said, I'm still doing the same thing I did last year, pushing the team, working hard, and setting a high example for everybody else and everybody else following us. So I know this week is going to lead us, to victory again if we keep it up, and we are going to keep it up.
What about the whole world seemingly against you guys now, or against what happened? People saying that the victory should be given to Duke, and you've seen on national TV. And what's your reaction to that?
We ignore the noise. We don't worry about what everybody else say. We just kind of just move forward. We don't really care what nobody else say. We just working on winning the coastal and winning the rest of these games. So that's really our pet peeve right now. We not worrying what nobody else say.
Jermaine, how much of that energy is seeing your starting quarterback back out there?
It was great. When he came out, I was kind of messing with him. Talking to him, messing around with him and everything. But it's great. Seeing him out there again, throwing the ball. It's just a great feeling, just knowing that we got him back.
I don't think anyone can imagine how hard he's feeling.
Yeah.
But last week it's possible that with the shock and the adrenaline and everything else, he was somehow able to play through it and not focus as much on what must be the most horrible loss of his entire life. This week maybe it gets a little harder. I mean, what are you doing for him? What have you seen?
We just stand together. We just being his brother at the end of the day. We just been there for him. We all know his mom, and we all knew his family. So we just kind of being there for him and make sure he focus on what he need to focus on and what his mom want him to focus on. So that's what we kind of doing. We just smile right now. We making sure he's staying on top of his game and making sure he's doing what he has to do.
Is he holding up as well this week as he did last week?
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and I'm not surprised, because we always there for him at the end of the day. So he's still focused and still doing his job, and he's already still.
Jermaine, how
All
badly
right, guys, last question.
How badly did you guys need that moment Saturday night as a team?
It's not that we needed it bad, we just needed to know that we was capable of making them kind of plays, and us making that kind of play, help us, motivate us to know that at the end of the day, no matter what the score, what time is on the clock, if it's not 0-0 or all 4 zeros on the clock, we still in play. So that's really what it was, just let us know that at the end of the day we are still in the game, no matter what.
Thanks,
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jermaine.
Thanks, Jermaine.